It's not agendized. There's only 2 things on the agenda, so. Anything.
Your website still said that the meetings were.
I do get updated.
And maybe that's why some of the people
Not
the other way.
Yeah, so we'll get updated. I think we would hope by now we would have been back at
Any news on that, Chuck?
yes, I was going to say.
Library openings, any news?
I think that the library itself is open.
Yeah.
Now, I can check on community meeting when they're allowed.
The library is 100% open, but not for community.
Yeah, I'll check and see when they're
Me and Tammy were forced to go sit in the back on the desk because they wouldn't let us use any of the rooms. But we could sit on a desk like next to each other.
Okay.
Closer than we would have been.
Yeah, they would have been in the room.
Because
Well, they moved them, they temporarily assigned them to health and safety or something.
Because the community club is asking us if we're going to continue. I paid for next month, so I just wrote a check for $100 for the 4 meetings.
Okay.
And so they want to know if we're going to continue.
Okay.
So
I should be able to find out.
Yeah, well, at least
I think things are,
yeah.
I just heard of one of the county offices that's now entirely open. I can't even remember which one it is, but let me check about that.
Okay, yeah, or if there's a rough timeline, then that way we can at least tell the community, hey, tentatively we'll go to that.
And so your July meeting will still be here, and that's like what, July
19th. Yeah.
Because
So
we
we're
only,
not meeting the 5th.
Yeah, because it's holiday. So
It looks like it's summer active, everybody is out.
Yeah.
So I've said the next few meetings I think are going to be pretty thin.
Yeah.
That way it's going to get the website.
So, all right, last call for anything else? Okay, so I guess we'll start off with probably the thing that, in light of what you just said, is actually kind of frightening, which is the fact that we got a notice of Pam, you want to talk about the final EIR?
Yep, it was pretty shocking.
So while you're pulling that out, just to give we were told the draft EIR was coming,
Right.
and apparently we've skipped the draft EIR and
Yep.
coming to final EIR.
Yes.
Is that for your segment or for your segment?
For
Look and see what area that's for.
Burbank, Palmdale.
yeah.
Here.
I'll read you what it says. Dear Acting Town Council, the California High-Speed Rail Authority is pleased to announce the publication of the Bakersfield to Palmdale project section.
That's Bakersfield to Palmdale, it's not through here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need Palmdale to Burbank.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Okay, but
Doesn't go
it's not going to
through.
affect us yet?
No, it stops at Metro League Station in Palmdale.
Okay, but
We're Palmdale to
Burbank.
no, I know, but the problem is that just going to, well,
Yeah, they were doing it in segments, and that segment is ahead of this segment. That's why they said.
So they're working down this.
They're working down
but
that.
aren't they just going to
Yeah.
continue right on?
Yes, that's why you got the final notice and you weren't expecting it. It's for a different segment. Because
Yeah.
that one wasn't as controversial, so they got their.
They're like getting done.
Yeah, and that's the one that has such a problem going through the Tehachapi Mountains.
So
So,
physical problems, but not political problems or bothering residents or anything like that. So the only thing that bothered, I think, was the exact feline breeding compound. So
and the other problem is that Biden has just now authorized 900,
They're giving the money back that had been rescinded.
$929 million is supposed to be coming to California shortly to finish whatever segment they
I think
can.
that San Joaquin Valley segment. Yeah.
Okay,
And they're
stop panicking, Pam.
Yeah, you don't have to, because I was getting ready to
positive.
panic.
I'm sure we'll be.
Yeah, I was getting ready to panic because we got these notices and I go,
Okay.
oh, Bakersfield to Palmdale. Yeah, nobody cares. It's up there in Roseman mostly. Okay, fine. And then when you said, no, it's down here, I go, oh, we missed those. Oh, no.
Plus, they sent us
Oh.
so we can,
Oh,
we
okay.
can,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll get that uploaded. And
So there's only one agenda item?
I think the other.
Oh, no, we got waste management.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that because actually, I think the thing that we were worried about that ended up not being
We got it solved.
got it solved before. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Oh, so,
I was just,
Okay, I just mistakenly assumed it would just go
That's okay, there's a-
barreling right along.
it's probably good to have a touch.
We will.
The other.
They need to get active.
The other piece to this too is I know that Metro is fighting for some of the funds.
Yes.
That's my understanding too.
I
So
read that today.
there's, I think, some thoughts that it's now everybody's fighting over the table scraps of it, which sounds funny to say when it's millions and millions of dollars for the table scraps. But that's interesting. So it sounds like they're going to hold a couple of years.
And I would assume they're gonna try to do whatever they can before the governor would call as well. Right?
I do
Try to
too.
lock down
That's
as
why
much
I
as
was
they
getting a little, and then the $1 billion coming to
Yeah.
California, I was like, okay, then they're just gonna say, well, we're just gonna keep right on going from Palmdale to Burbank.
can. Well, I'm sure that would be their next step, but.
Yeah. And they're taking money, I don't know, I was reading more about it before I got here, but, okay.
Well, and before we move on, any other questions or anybody hear anything else high-speed rail related?
On the news, there's still been a lot of controversy over the cost of it. And there's
Yes.
still a lot of people who are not happy with
Oh, yeah.
the fact that more millions and billions are going to be.
Well, it was supposed to be already functional by now. I mean, like, it was supposed to already be,
And
The
plus it was
last
supposed
thing I
to,
heard was 2029,
yes, that's right.
and that's just an estimate.
Yeah, which, and the same people are estimating to make the first estimate.
and plus it was only supposed to be 30 billion when it was voted in November of 2008. And now we're at 100 billion. And still
Yeah, it's still-
not,
Well, that's because of all the corruption and the
yeah.
problems and the inability to do the job properly. And
Onward and onward.
they don't care, it's not their money.
Okay.
All right. So we have Waste Management Recycling Center. So we had received word that they had closed the recycling center here, but then, no.
I got a hold of the owner, and I think your office got a hold of him too, maybe? Oh, okay. Oh, I know, it was Tom Lackey's office. That got a hold of him and found out that it's something in Aqua Dulce, and I didn't even know there was a recycling center in Aqua Dulce.
The one at Pepper Tree?
I don't know.
Yeah, the
The
double
one
tree.
I know was by the pepper tree, but it disappeared.
Yeah.
Is it, I haven't noticed it coming back.
No.
Okay, that's what the call was that I got, was that they're closing the Acton one too, but it's owned by someone else, and
It's not.
he's fine.
You
He's,
heard that the active one was closed, is it closing?
That's
Yeah.
we had got somebody who called in and said it
Yep.
was closing.
but,
Oh, was that because of the SB?
no.
Well,
SB30.
China's not buying our recycling anymore, which is the main problem. So all these, where they used to make a profit from buying recycling, they don't anymore. So unless it's subsidized, recycling is pretty much worthless because no one's buying it.
Well,
Right,
I
and
think,
then there's
yeah, I think maybe Waste Management is taking recycling, but they're not actually.
They're not actually recycling it. It's
I
just-
think they're destroying it someplace, what they do, because they don't even buy it yet.
Yeah.
but see, SB 38 is talking about cutting it. Because
Yeah, but it had, according to Tom Lackey's office today, I talked to Brandon, it was passed in the Senate, the state Senate, but not in the House. So they don't know yet what's going to happen. Brandon is going to keep us informed.
What are they cutting? They're cutting,
they're not gonna take it. According to, I only got a portion of it, and they're not gonna pay us for it. So then they better not be charging us. And fine, if you don't wanna pay us for it, then
yeah,
don't charge
they
us
just don't
for it.
charge for it.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be a deposit. It wasn't supposed to be
Right.
like a thing that, you're supposed to like, I paid 5 cents and I give it back to you, I get my 5 cents back.
Right.
So apparently that's something that's coming up, but not done yet.
Okay.
Do we know when it's closing?
No, but Brandon said he was going to get back. It sounds like the one in Aqua Dulce is already closed.
That's what our office is told, I don't know anything more about it.
Yeah.
But
Closed.
the one in Acton is not. closed.
Not closing, and it's good.
That's what I just added.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But we were told, we received word that it was. Then when we dug, so we put it on the agenda, because we're like, we should talk about it. Then between then and now, we established it was not closing.
So we were talking about the one behind the post office, correct?
Yeah.
I thought that was privately owned.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, so how does Waste Management tie in?
I don't know. It's Genesis, I think, is what I.
Right.
They probably, that's probably what they did that part with, yeah. So there's,
Because they just do cans and bottles, right?
And you can leave cardboard there too, but they don't pay you for it. I mean,
That's good.
They'll take it though.
They'll take
It's
plastic
actually
too, they take plastic.
yeah,
Okay.
Plastic cans and cardboard.
and glass.
Take cardboard.
This is big news actually, because I'm like, I mean, we're not having
boxes go in the trash every week.
well, yeah, see with the advent of Amazon and all the delivery stuff, it's like,
Yeah.
we always have more boxes than every,
Too bad they can't make it back into lumber because
yeah.
pretty much pricing stuff.
Oh, it's coming down.
All right, we can move on then to talk about, well, announcements, correspondence. So I know that Kelly had something she wanted to
Yep.
talk about.
We got
Does anybody else want to look that up? Does anybody else have anything?
CSD.
I'm going to talk about that. And then well, that's what one thing. So, so the CSD is still up for vote. Are going to be coming up in front of supervisor. We did have a conversation. I don't know if you guys talked about this in the last meeting. So, but we did have a great call with Supervisor Barger, and we're supposed to be kind of working with the entities who we've been struggling to work with, and she was gracious enough to extend that they'd be willing to, give it a stay for a month if we weren't able to kind of come to an agreement on some of the things that are mismatched. If you're curious about the things that are not lined up, we would appreciate sending feedback in for that. Not just, you can send it to us, but preferably to the various departments that, like Public Works and Planning, whatever department lines up with. But if you go to our website, it is posted on there with what we asked for, what we got, what used to be there. It's organized in a way that makes sense, so you can kind of see what the old CSD or the current CSD looks like, the proposed CSD, what was potentially coming up for a vote, and then what we, as a community, we had lots of different meetings where we had community members come out, give input on what we asked for, so you can kind of see what the three things are, and if you think that it should be like a community wanted, please, we encourage you to get feedback in that way. And like I said, you can also just email the town council, and we'd be happy to pass that on. We'll gather up all that feedback.
When is the deadline for our comments on that?
Chuck, when is the?
It's in July.
End of July.
I can't remember.
20-something.
Can you post that? I had asked at the last meeting, but you weren't here. Can you post it on Facebook? Because our community pages, that's where people really see that stuff, and I think it would be good.
And can I just suggest that if anybody writes to the departments, to regional planning, whatnot, copy the supervisor to Catherine@bos.lacounty.gov.
Just to let the community know, the committee has been working on this for well over a year now, probably close to a
The
year.
hearing is the 27th,
I was saying, I thought it was the other.
Tuesday the 27th.
And it's just, we need the community input because we keep going over these things with regional planning and everybody else that's involved. And some of the things we haven't been too successful with.
And it's one thing to hear our voice. We're collecting up, obviously, we took the feedback that we received in the different community outreach events and put it all in there and then handed it over. And actually, we had all various departments involved as well. We've had lots of, how many meetings have we had with the folks who go to the CSD?
Probably 20.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of back and forth. It seemed very positive in the beginning. Like, the county would come to us and say, hey, do you want to open your CSD? And we're like, well, we can do that. Let's do that. We have, I know there's a lot of different things that have come up since, what was it, done in the 90s? Is that when the first CSD? 95. So a lot has changed, and it's simple things like how many dogs you're going to have before having to have a kennel, permit. So things like that. We thought, hey, maybe we should make some modifications to that. So I think the things we've asked for have been very reasonable and reflect what our community wants to look like. And so it's been kind of disheartening to not have that heeded. So, but
plus it went to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission approved it, so that's why it's scheduled to go to the Board of Supervisors on July 27th. Even though we told Planning Commission this is not acceptable. This is not what our community wants. But it still is going forward to July 27th at the Board of Supervisors. So with our meeting with
Yeah.
Catherine,
I don't want to sound doom, but it seems like we're going to have some more opportunities to kind of talk through it and hopefully get to where we want, or at least get some more time to talk to the parties. And that's where the community involvement and writing in and making your voice heard is going to really help. So it's not just, well, the town council said this. It'd be great to get some more.
well, for example, Public Works didn't respond to us at all in the year and a half. We sent them letters, we sent them emails, we sent them all kinds of information. They did not even bother to respond to us. And the trails is another issue. So
We've
there's,
had some encouraging
yes.
progress in that, but it's late in the game, and I don't know, it seems to have been bifurcated out of the CSD to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure those are protections, and you know, something we brought up with the supervisor was, you know, is the CSD the mechanism that we use as an unincorporated town to influence what our community looks like, or is there another, you know, mechanism we're not aware of? You know, how should we do that? And she emphatically said that was the mechanism. So great. We just want it to look like what we want. I think we all live in Acton, right? We don't necessarily want it to look like Santa Clarita or some of these other.
Rapid Valley or something.
And the clustering, though, is a big deal.
Yes.
And I think people don't know about that. And I think maybe if you post it on Facebook and say something like, hey, here's our list, and clustering is, just because people don't understand what that means, and that affects mainly everyone that owns property, and that's a big deal.
And we're still unclear what exactly with the clustering or high density.
What is
management.
clustering?
Clustering is where when you have a subdivision and you say each minimum lot size is supposed to be 5 acres, okay? But since we can't put 5 acres everywhere over the whole thing, and we want to have this open hillside, we're going to call this an open space, and then we're going to reduce our lot sizes down to 1 acre or sub-acre, and get the same amount in there, and that's clustering.
Yeah, that's a funny way. Other ways are like, hey, I'm a developer at 100 acres. I'm going to make 4 10-acre lots, and then we take that average and we average it across all of them and go, well, they're 5-acre average. You know, we give a bunch of like, you know,
We start from the middle of the street, which is what they used to do in
but
Seattle.
all sorts of fun
Right.
games. So, you know, in order to keep, you know, what we have, would not be, that's something we really have vehemently fought.
So, the planning commission, the head of the planning commission, Shell, her name's Shell, right? Their vision, her vision, because she said, I can't accept this when we asked that cluster meeting. Her vision is, if you have a huge open area, you should have a tight clump of homes or development, all stuck together with common services, and then everything else should be open. But that's not the way we're laid out here. You know, what most people want out here is, they want to have their space and their home, and then they want space, and that person wants their space and their home. But that's not what they have for hillside management. Anything that's on a hill over a certain percent of steepness, great. It's considered hillside management. They said, okay, we'll forego clustering and hillside management. But there's still areas, or I'm sorry, they said only for hillside management and only for SCAs. But even in the hillside management areas and SCAs, it's the same thing. If you've got a lot of area to develop and you want to minimize the lot size and get more homes in a certain area with running less roads, less services, less sewers, less everything, that's where the clustering comes in. I mean, it is really development friendly. You know, their vision is that's the way it should look. You should have all this open space with nothing, and then you should just put it all right there. And
But can't you just say that they all those houses have to have at least an acre?
well, that's what we're asking for. We ask that they be, you know, at least 5 acres in lot size, and they have a certain frontage minimum requirement, which we haven't got very far on that.
No.
So let's say your minimum frontage is 500 feet. That means you can't have them, these long, narrow lots that go way back and just stick all the houses side by side.
You could have houses right next to each other. We don't know what the
Right.
setback is going to be, the side setbacks, they haven't let us know any of that.
But
So-
isn't that like, wouldn't you say that's like those houses that are above, what's it?
Desert.
Sizzler?
Or-
Not Sizzler.
Desert.
Sizzler. Sizzler, what was Sizzler?
Subdivision, talking about desert.
Yeah, I know.
Desert Road.
We all watched it burn.
So the forecast homes, the desert road area there is some clustering in there, but it's not what can happen. It can get much higher density.
Yeah, this is like a superset of that. It's like taking that and then actually doing, like I said, when I said Santa Clarita, it's not to disparage Santa Clarita, it's just, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
I mean, everything smack, boom, 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 we're gonna put in 500 houses.
Plus it could have flag lots,
Yeah.
like there is in Sterling Ridge. You've got flag lots that put one house within 50 feet of another one.
Yes.
I have a question, maybe old fashioned, whatever, but do we have originally CCRs for anything out here in the rural area that protects us?
That's what the CSD does. CCRs would be for private developments. And some of the HOAs, like the one we were just talking about, forecast homes, I'm sure they do have CCRs. But
They're
for
not
most of this
trying to
undeveloped land,
Push multi-housing out here, are they like more apartments or anything?
Well, we've thought there was, I'm thinking of Wiener's bill to put the high density by the rail.
Yeah.
So there's been
attempts.
not at the county level yet, but at the state level, assembly or Stetson, I don't know. I think it's Assembly of Wiener out of the Bay Area was looking to make anywhere within, what was it, a mile or a half mile of a rail stop to be high density. That the county would lose all, or cities would lose all jurisdiction on zoning in those areas, and they would just be declared high density, and they would slam. So if you want to get a preview of what that would look like, when you drive down the 14, you look off by Sand Canyon now, and they have that new station going in to replace the Via Princesa station, and it's all in the wash, all that building. That's all high density apartment,
Car
multi-homes.
optional.
Yeah.
Wherever there's a spot, they have to build in
Yeah,
Santa
so-
Clarita, because I lived there a long, long time ago, and it was more spacious,
Yep.
but they just everywhere.
Well, I mean, it's no different, the poor folks in St. Canyon that, the city told them they weren't gonna mess with any of the, they weren't gonna hyper-develop that. Now it's looking more and more like it was.
Just wait till the next earthquake. I mean, they are in a urban.
Housing.
Well, and that's, this is where, if you guys are concerned, please write in, have friends write in, anybody who's concerned at all about that particular provision. It'd be great to be able to have some more voices and not just ours, telling them, hey, we don't want this here.
No, I totally understand.
So the high density development is what they'd like to call it now.
Yeah.
And what it was before was considered clustering, now they refer to it as high density development. So if you don't want to see high density development on hillside management areas and SC areas, then you can certainly put that in an email to the supervisor's office.
Are we gonna get rid of that Dollar General?
We hope so.
We hope so, but
Well,
it's,
we don't need one, I can just go
Yeah.
16 miles and down.
Yeah, no, I think to kind
Wait,
of,
but the freeway traffic, all these other people coming in here.
to kind of put a bow on it, the main issue is that it's, it's by right, it's a commercial space, and if you come with a commercial development, you can do that, no problem. Our concern has been, and the community's concern has been, that it is going to increase traffic, like you said,
Right,
to a point
Pearl
where,
Valley will be a mess.
well, it'll require traffic signal. You can't have a traffic signal here. There's ordinances that prevent us from having a traffic signal here, or at least would make it so now it's discretionary. Now we can have a say because they need a CUP. So our kind of the community has turned out overwhelmingly against having Dollar General here. So our hopes are that if we can get who do we need on that? Public Works.
Public Works.
Yeah, Public Works to actually do a traffic study. We've asked, and so far they've declined to do that. But we believe that if they do a traffic study, just based upon what Dollar General said the impact would be, which is something like 2,000 cars a day extra, especially in the proximity to both the school and the park, that's going to have to require a signal, which would make it a conditional use permit, and then we as a community can have some input into that process.
It doesn't even look like that lot would have sufficient parking or anything.
Well, there's other concerns because, I think that developer, I think, had an opportunity to meet the community with some of the things that the community asked for, like having a trail. And said no, and then we heard, well, they're considering it, and I think the last thing is they've said no again. We believe that in the AV plan, it's pretty clear that you shall put trails in development, so we don't think there's a lot of wiggle room, that they get to choose whether they put it there. But I think it's not a good look to come into the community right after that and not do things that we're asking for, you know, as a minimum. Like, if you're gonna put it there and you have a right to put it there, we're gonna know, could you at least help, you know, with what we're trying to do? And to come in off that foot seems kind of...
And it hurts our businesses, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't protect other businesses, but it needs to fit within the rural, commercial rural zone that area is. So,
It needs to be local serving, so...
So we'll see. It's one of the things we talked about the supervisor with.
What did she say about that?
Well, it's more like get Public Works to do their part, and then we'll know what to do.
So can Public Works stop them?
No, but they can come in and say, you know what, you're going to need to do a traffic analysis, and we believe it needs a traffic analysis, and then that will tell us if it meets the criteria for rural commercial or not.
But have you guys ever talked to Dollar General?
Oh, we tried.
We tried. Then, you know,
We had a public meeting.
Yeah, last July.
You talked to the people who were building it
Correct.
for them.
Yeah.
We haven't talked, you guys
Yeah.
haven't talked to
They've
them.
not...
they've not returned phone calls. See, we have the red phone right here.
Yes.
No, but
Yeah, seriously.
you tried to call them and they haven't.
Yeah, we reached out, we have not received anybody from Dollar General, no, you know, which is part of that design.
You never do.
Yeah, which is why they have a developer that does
Well,
the
because
development.
they're made up of like 4 big conglomerates
Sure.
that are.
Dollar General, I'll just say it, it's a predatory business. They're coming here to prey on the other businesses in town.
Yeah.
So they don't have any interest in what the community wants. They'll say, oh, it's for you. And then they'll say, oh yeah, but we need to have, you know, access for 2,000 cars per day. When, you know, there's only 7,000 people in town. And half of them have cars. So, you know, it's obviously not for us. It's for everybody in the surrounding areas.
And like I said, it would be a different feel if they were coming and saying, hey, what does the community need? What can we do to fulfill that need? That's a different conversation.
And others have tried that, you know, Rite Aid when they wanted to come in, you know, over there by Crown Valley and the freeway.
Ralph's.
And Ralph's too. They actually came and said, you know, what would it take to get the community to accept us? And community basically said, we don't want you. And they gave up on that, but.
What happened to that Primo burger thing? Is that dead too?
I don't think, yeah.
I think it's still waiting on some.
So the sign's still up there, something like how many years is it still?
Yeah, I don't know. All right. But anyway, we kind of gotten off the.
Sorry.
No, there are good questions. We didn't have any answer on the agenda, so I'm fine with it. And it's good. I want to make sure people are informed on what's going on. You know, and I do think the Dollar General is one that's kind of gone back under the radar. Hasn't been much talked about. There hasn't been much news on our part either. We've reached out. Our main last point of contention was the traffic and getting some answers in that space. And it's, you know, and hopefully with Supervisor's direction that we'll at least look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's things, all you can do is say it doesn't meet the requirements of a commercial rural business there. If it does, then there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. But if it doesn't meet it, then we can work on that part of it.
And we brought that to the attention of the county. We've written letters,
over and
so
over.
we're on top of it.
Yeah, and then, you know, I think the other thing, and I know that a lot of folks reached out to, you know, the information that was given to us by the developers on to Dollar General, make it known, like, you know, if you come here, we're not going to support your business. And so I think that there's been a lot of people in the community that, which makes me then ask the second question, which is, if you're still coming and the community said they're not going to support you, are you really a local serving business, or are you serving people outside the community that are passing through? It seems like you don't really care.
Right.
And you know, obviously the longer term concern is that, and this has happened in other areas, and I know we had people send in numerous instances where Dollar General came in, community didn't support it, then left, and now we have this vacant building, and it is a vacant building, or what comes in, because now the building's built, so now any commercial business under sun, and if we think Dollar General is bad, I can imagine there's quite a few other establishments that could be worse, that can park there, that would be very commercial. So those are the concerns. It'd be great to have something, I think, there that, besides the empty lot, if it was something that the community, people had all sorts of great ideas on things, at the meeting. Somebody said like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had like like a soda fountain, ice cream shop kind of thing there, or sandwich, just lots of different ideas. And that's all great. Obviously, we're not at that point. So I guess we will see kind of how things develop. And obviously, as we get any news, we're going to relay it because we know it's an important thing with the community. Council member comments.
Yeah, I got a couple things. John Kessler posted and sent a letter to the Trails guy and Michelle that we met with and said that there's another area in Acton that's been blocked off, but I wasn't familiar with what he called it, and I didn't bring my phone tonight. So, I tried to get a hold of John Kessler to tell me because he said they actually welded the gate shut and attached it to something so that this trail is shut off.
They mean a property owner?
Property owner, I'm sorry, yeah. So I don't know about that, but Mr., what's his name, Lincoln?
Likens?
Yeah, responded.
He said what?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll keep looking. Anybody else have any other comments? Or we can pull that up?
The only thing I have is when we were operating kind of normally, we would do committee reports on the first meeting and not have them on the second meeting of the month. Is that something that you're going to return to?
I didn't hear you, Tom. What'd you say?
We used to have committee meetings, reports rather, I'm sorry, committee reports on the first agenda of the month,
Yeah.
not on the second agenda.
Okay.
So I see it.
Yeah, we can,
I just don't know, because there's a lot of stuff in here that sometimes
Yeah, there's nothing to report.
nothing to report.
We can move it to the, I always think the second meeting, I don't know why. Maybe
One or the other.
Yeah, let's move it out the first, we'll just do it out second.
Okay.
That was just curious.
I just really like reports. Yeah, I can't find the.
The other thing that I had was Jackie Owens called me today to tell me that she would not be able to be at the meeting tonight, and she wanted to assure our community that there has been a tremendous amount of activity out in the Antelope Valley. They have had a team out there for the last 8 days that has...
Grow houses.
Yeah, outside, not the grow houses, but the outside growth. And they are continuing. They're doing a fabulous job, according to her and Mike Garcia. And there's just so much more to the story out there. But they've removed a tremendous amount of the marijuana in the last 8 days. And she said she didn't really want to quote numbers or anything like that, but they will get back to us soon and give us the numbers. and tell us-
214 search warrants were served.
What?
214 search warrants.
Wow.
Okay.
So, just a little scope of what actually transpired.
Thank you.
Our Palmdale office has been working with Lancaster's narco team on that. Like, I had a meeting with narco before I got here for probably 2 years. As far as the growing problem out there. And they don't have the manpower to do anything, and it wasn't until it got on the radar of legislators and stuff, and they pushed it publicly, and then the sheriff got wind of it. So the last month, we've had every single narcotic detective in the entire department at Palmdale Station operating there, which is insane. It's literally insane because it's like we have like another 80 people working there, and then they hit everything in concise, like together. Now they're doing the back end of it, like they're doing all the filing paperwork and doing all the paperwork on it, so that's gonna take them a couple of weeks, but all that personnel's gone. Now we're back to our problem, which is not outdoor grows. Our problem is indoor grows, houses. Tammy has been really prevalent about giving me all the information for the community being filtered for us, and I really appreciate that. And the community in general has been, I get them every day. They are keeping a concise list as far as when they're gonna hit them. I wasn't given a very clear answer, if you will, because again, now we're back to it's the manpower thing again. Because we have 5 detectives at our station, and they're responsible for acting out, we'll say, the Valley, Little Rock, all that area, plus all the stuff the patrol handles. Like if you have an arrest and it's narcotic related. The sheriff has done some headway as far as trying to separate that back to where one's a marijuana team and one does detective work for the station. That will help alleviate some of that, but that's not all of it. Chuck was talking to me, I guess the supervisor's working on getting us $250,000.
Yeah, so the supervisor got $100,000 that she put toward the Palmdale station to go after water thieves predominantly in the Little Rock area, because there is already money appropriated for Lancaster Station up in High Vista. That shoved the water thieves down into Little Rock, so now we're putting $100,000. We've already done that. There's a vote tomorrow on $250,000 to pay for overtime to keep the raids on the grow houses going. I don't know how I just know there's a bunch of text messages back and forth with our office, the other offices, so I don't know how that's going to go. But, we also want to see if we can get the state legislature to change the laws, because
that's the big one.
In my view, this all happened because of Prop 64. 2016 says marijuana is legal for adults over 21. Fine, go and do it. Well, part of that law that everybody passed, the ballot measure that was passed, said if you grow commercial quantities of marijuana illegally against the local rules of the local jurisdiction, it's only a misdemeanor. You no longer do you go to state prison for growing 70,000 marijuana plants. You get a couple of weeks or something.
Which isn't even that anymore, because
well, it's probably a couple of weeks. So 2 years ago, when these guys started, that was the kind of grows we'd see out there. Some goofball guy would decide, hey man, I can make a bunch of money, and he'd start growing marijuana in some kind of structure behind his house on 2 acres in Juniper Hills or High Vista or wherever, because I think they were saying, oh, I make $250,000 off of a crop, and I go to jail for 2 weeks.
Yeah, good trade. Yeah.
Well, what's the problem with that? I'm not working anyway. I don't care. So that's what we want to do.
That he is spot on and 100% on that, because that's where the community needs to come together. It is imperative that everybody, and I mean everybody, not only just in the community, you have friends that live in California, talk to your local representatives, hound them. I get the proposition legalizing marijuana, and I see the good things about it, but like anything in government, it wasn't thought all the way through. And there's obviously some gaps somewhere in there. And the big thing is that these growers are not local growers necessarily. We got all the Oregon, Washington growers are now coming to California because it's still a felony in their states and a misdemeanor in ours. And so for them, it's like all of a sudden we're getting all these out-of-state growers influx coming here.
And then you add into that, historic drought, we're saying it's the worst drought in 1,200 years, and having people steal water.
Makes me crazy. Makes me absolutely crazy. You guys aren't under the adjudication, but we are out there that says everybody had to cut back on water.
Yeah, you're cutting back, and meanwhile, Joe Schmo's stealing water.
And they're drilling illegal wells. I don't know where they get the wells over from. It's probably, if you pay enough money, I guess you can get anybody to do anything. But yeah, they're drilling illegal wells too.
So this is going to continue to be a problem for the foreseeable future until the law changes. And the only way the law is going to change is the pressure from the community. And like I said, if you have, not just here, you have a friend that lives down in San Diego, it's statewide. These are statewide laws. These aren't like local to us. So until that changes, it's going to be whack-a-mole, but whack-a-mole that we are grossly not prepared to battle. Before this operation, I thought they were on a good kick because they were doing, 4 or 5 warrants a week, and then they had this big operation to try to seize everything else, and they're going to try to pick up the tempo again. But again, when we're getting 20 houses a week, and we're hitting 4, and that's our area. I mean, throughout the others, I'm sure there's more.
Having some real time behind it, make people think twice.
And we've been in contact with the county association of California, because these are problems other places. Riverside, San Bernardino County, up north, of course, up north, they've been fighting illegal growth for years and years and years. So they weren't optimistic that the county association was not optimistic about convincing the present legislature to create a new felony, which would be growing commercially.
You're not going to get rid of legalized personally.
No,
that's,
no.
That's not gonna go.
But that's not the problem, you know,
Yeah.
if somebody going 2 or 3 plants, not a problem. It's the, like you said, 70,000 plants, I go to jail for 2 weeks and I just, I make 2 years income and I'm just gonna hang on.
So, yeah.
But they still haven't determined how they're gonna handle the grow houses in the town.
So our narcotics bureau is still gonna handle them how they've been handling at the station level. However, what Chuck's trying to get through the board of supervisors is more funding, and that again.
To pay for overtime.
To pay for overtime, so they can do kind of these mass operations like they did, because in a week, they did basically what they do in a year, you know, as far as amount of search warrants and stuff, which is an insane amount, but that took a lot of public pressure, and, you know, you know, Garcia's office and stuff like that to do the flyovers and get their 15 minutes on whatever. I don't care if they get their 30 minutes on the news for the re-election, as long as that puts enough pressure for
Yeah, as
some
long
of
as
this to
the
happen.
outcome works out.
Yeah, the outcome, could care less. They got their photo up. So if they want their photo up, the houses are the issue too. I mean, we don't have the water theft out here, because.
There's still water, it's not as bad as that, but
There
it's
is.
still happening out here.
But it's not as bad. Like, the primary thing is the houses are, you know, destroyed after a couple of rows, and they're people mold, you gotta pretty much tear them down. The community obviously hates them and everything like that, and, you
And they're
know,
throwing trash around.
and the trash and the dump.
Well, and the chemicals and all the rest of it. I mean, it's not like most of the houses are not on.
And I'm guessing that if they're not spewing water, it's because they're picking houses that are.
Yeah, well,
Wells,
yeah.
and they're just pumping
Pump it all out,
as
yeah.
much as they can.
Yeah, any way you cut it, it's gonna have a negative impact.
Yeah.
So is it Garcia's office then that we need to contact?
You need to contact
No.
Assembly.
No, yeah, like
No.
state
No.
legislature.
That's the change.
The state legislature, because it's not a federal issue,
It's a state.
And
Oh, okay.
I have my doubts of whether the state legislature can do anything because it was a voter initiative. And so I think there's a good likelihood there has to be another
Oh,
voter
jeez.
ballot measure to get it changed back to felony. Because oftentimes, I mean, that's why those ballot measures are put on there. The legislature won't do something, people get their
Yeah.
signatures, they put it on there. And so if the legislature could undo that immediately,
Yeah.
why have, so
I'm
that's,
just
but
thinking
it's
about
the state law. it's the
all the
state
money that
legislature.
gets thrown, trying to make it seem like it was anti-marijuana rather than what it is, which is
Yes.
like anti-people who are illegally.
Anti-organized crime, anti-environmental damage. So our office is stressing the environmental damage.
Yeah, I know, it's 100%. I think that's a great angle. When I look at it, it's that, and again, we're in the middle of a freaking drought. Like, legitimate farmers growing
Well,
food
the
that we
demand
have to
is-
eat are going to go fallow, and here, but hey, you know.
Generation, like for generations, like obviously it's a younger thing to smoke marijuana, but these dispensaries are legal.
Yeah.
The warehouses where the dispensaries get the marijuana is legal. The warehouses can't grow enough legal
Sure,
stuff
to keep up.
to keep up with all the demand. And that's where all this
Yeah, the
world
stuff
of
is-
grow house comes in with all the profit margins, plus when you don't have to pay for permits and do all that
Yep.
other stuff and get regulated, your profit margin's higher. So if it was a way that it was deregulated to the point where it
Well,
would be
like
profitable.
alcohol gets
Yeah.
regulated. There's
So-
strict controls on how that.
You're saying that these grow houses are going to legal dispensary?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last time you guys.
Because there's no controls in place. That's,
So there is no, but don't the dispensaries have to say, I thought that they had changed the law that said they had to know exactly how much was in it.
Yeah.
Anything.
Our plants are serialized.
No,
So once it gets in the warehouse,
You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
think,
they know who they bought it from.
yeah, but they're gonna lie.
Well, then that's when it's a federal offense.
no.
It's still a state, yeah.
It's still helpful to write to Garcia's office because when Jackie Owens was here at the last meeting, she said that he's working really hard at making sure that federal funding comes to help the
Yes.
local sheriff's department. And the other thing is, it's still a federal crime to grow and sell marijuana.
and that's part of the problem actually, because like the dispensaries, we have a lot of shootings, like and robberies of them because these guys operate on
They can't be
cash.
banked, yeah, they have to be
Can't be banked.
You know, so if the federal government would send the DEA and MAC, you know, like they do to other places and
Yeah.
squash these people, and it's a felony to them, and they have the RICO and the seizure and all those tools, they can fix this pretty fast. I don't know if there's any incentive on the current administration to do it, but I mean, it seems crazy that they know there's these problems and they can fix it.
Well, if they get the marijuana teams back up,
That's what they're doing, so
which I had heard.
that's from the
before,
the sheriff.
Then
is
you're
doing-
gonna get the feds involved also.
So that's grant
what the
money.
marijuana, because years ago, a couple years ago, when they used to do the national forest and stuff, that was combined with the county and federal.
So that's what the sheriff
So they're hoping-
initially started doing by splitting the narco teams back to a, like, eradication team and then a regular patrol station level narcotics bureau. But again, like at our station, we have 5 guys.
But there's only, there's only so many.
Yeah,
people.
So, and it's whack-a-mole, right? So you have it like, okay, we squashed it here, oh, they moved somewhere else. So, my concern out of this is like, yeah, we went and squashed it out in there. Are we gonna see an influx now of like grow houses inside, because now it's like,
I think there are grow houses down below. I think that,
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
warehouses, I think, I've heard of those for a number of years.
I've seen some photos recently from some friends and family and law enforcement.
I think the difference is that you have a community up here that's aware of their surroundings.
Sure, yeah.
Versus.
Yeah, down there, yeah.
Maybe down in the valley, you're more like, I don't care what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, or I don't want it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't want to be shot.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Because they're too close.
Yeah.
But now, if we got funding, I mean, is there any way to, probably not, funnel that funding so that they would come here and hit Acton? I mean.
That's what, okay, so like the Palmville team
Mhm.
handles every area that the Palmville station covers.
Right.
Okay, and they team up with like Lancaster Law and stuff like that. So that funding would enable them to get more surveillance, get more, workable stuff to get those search warrants to hit the houses. And then.
I think what you're concerned though, correct me if I'm wrong, is that like, still Palmdale's like contracts sheriff department for Palmdale.
This is unincorporated.
Yeah.
So we're not paying for anything in Palmdale.
Yeah.
We're paying for.
But they don't, it's also there's more people. So I would be concerned, it's like, well, yeah.
Maybe I misspoke.
There's 20 grow houses, there's 5,000 out here, we're gonna deal with 5,000. Sorry, you guys.
Okay, I misspoke. So although our narcotics bureau team is out of the Palmville station they're not part of Palmville station. They use the office space, but they work at all, wherever the problem is, they go. It's not like their funding necessarily doesn't come from the station fund, which is part of the contract.
That's a good delineation, because that's my concern is like, hey.
We're just their infrastructure.
Okay.
And so there's also another team that's been aiming at the property owners. They go after the property owners, like, you don't clean this up, we're gonna.
Yeah,
You're
this is
right.
the basement team.
Nuisance abatement stuff. And so I've been sending them lots and lots of active properties. I make sure I send them the active properties, because the outdoor grow houses, the sheriff's department knows where those things are, because you can fly over and see them. But I make sure that the team that's working on the properties know about all these ones.
Yeah, the ones
that
that can't see.
apparent from the air.
Apparently there was a harvest this last weekend up Red Rover Mine Road too.
Right.
Yes.
And again, it's the turnaround of them having to do their independent investigation, surveillance, and everything. Keep on bringing them. Don't get discouraged, but it's not going to be overnight.
Yeah.
And we get that that's going on, but at the same time, they have to go through their whole investigation process, and it's not going to be overnight. And they might miss this grow cycle, they might get the next one or the one after that. It's just it's
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
We need 500 more guys.
Or a bunch of dumb ones like those ones in Palmdale where you've got you guys caught those two because they had the license, they checked it, and it was for a guy who had narcotics, and they went tapping, they walked in the house. It was in the paper the other day. You missed that one. And the officers got a warrant, and as they walked in, they're yelling, but the noise was too long and the two.
Trails.
Yeah, Moody Truck Trail is now permanently blocked.
I have no idea where that is.
I've dealt with that guy before. It's
Is that the lilac farm that blocks it?
Yeah, the guy has like the steer horn thing on the top. It's a
okay.
property issue, but he was referred to building and safety and zoning because they were going to work out because there was property line issues and stuff like that.
Yeah, he said Moody Truck Trail is now permanently blocked by the owner who had pipe fencing welded in so the fence can no longer be removed. And it said Robert believes could not lock the gate in the road that has been on the county map since 1934 and non-official map since 1908. So, been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it goes right through the guy's branch though, so I think that's the.
Well, yeah.
So where is that, Deputy Martinez?
It's up at the end of Rock Street Canyon, I think.
Oh,
So he's been doing that for a long time. He
Yeah.
stopped my husband over 29 years ago with a gun in the
When I was
back.
driving the Yukon, we went back there, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
It's
up
gonna be
past
back
the.
there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's past the-
Yeah,
there is-
the rest of the side.
I
Okay,
think that's gonna be.
okay.
Come on, Scott.
Pam, John Kessler said it's up past the restaurant where
Yeah.
Lilac Farmer has the big no trespassing
Yeah.
sign, Moody Truck Trail.
Okay.
I went up there with my Jeep, looking for that truck trail a year or so ago. That's how I know where it is, yeah.
Purely for business concerns.
So you're looking for a.
Technically.
No, there was no road back then, it was the old days, it was like 2 years ago.
That's
also part
In
of it.
between the
Well,
lines.
I was originally, okay. All right. Any other comments before we move on? All right. Well, we have no people here. I'll skip all the reports that people aren't here for. Let's see. Don't really have anything on. We already talked about high-speed rail, talked about overall stuff, so. There. Okay, well, I guess we'll move on to unfinished business. So I don't think we have anything new other than I'm going to put on Facebook as suggested about the CSD, and hopefully we can boost some more community involvement. And folks, it is on the website, so you don't have to wait till it shows up on Facebook. Yes?
Not everybody uses Facebook.
Yeah, no, it's also on it's on the website. So it's on our website right now. If you go there, there's a whole CSD thing with all the packet on there, all the stuff. But looking to just try to get some other folks who are there at least more eyeballs on it. But it is on our website. So, I agree. I know 100%. I'm not looking at the be all and end all. I'm just looking for more
Just a way.
pitchforks and torches.
Well, it's been in the papers, but, you know, it just seems like for a year or more, you got to put it everywhere. And the community Facebook pages, I mean,
Are pretty
believe it or not, get a lot of traction over anything else. So,
But I totally agree. I'm not looking to make it where it's like, well, you got to go to Facebook to get all this stuff. I hate that. I hate the things too where somebody
Well, I was
goes.
working someplace and there was a lot of older people and they came in and they said, we don't do Facebook.
Yeah.
So they do this.
Oh, no, 100%. And I deal with it too with, you know, somebody in the county we've dealt with, I think, you know, on fire or something else. I was like, well, it's on our Twitter feed. I'm like, I'm in the age group. I used to do Twitter. I don't deal with it anymore. Why should that be happening where I go to get it? Where can I get it somewhere? So 100%. But I think that is a well we have not gone to enough to try to stoke some more folks to get involved.
Especially during this coming month of July, we need to hear the input from our community
Yep.
so that in fact, if we do end up going to July 27th before the Board of Supervisors,
Yeah. Well, we do an additional, we have another call scheduled with the supervisor on the 16th, so.
the 16th
yes,
of July.
of July.
Cool.
So that'll be our sanity check to see whether we've heard back from Public Works and have any other movement on anything. And if we haven't, I know that we'll probably be coming to that meeting asking for another month to hopefully.
Right, because we haven't heard anything
No.
from Public Works at all.
No.
So how can we make a decision? How can our community make a decision?
Well, I think the decision was made then, which would be that we would oppose CSD.
Well, we opposed it to the planning commission
Yeah.
and it got us nowhere.
Yeah, true.
Right, but the supervisor seemed pretty,
Yes.
seemed like a pretty solid commitment she made that if we didn't get it worked out, that she'd give us that month, and that month it would get worked out.
Right.
Or we either told God Sam one or the other. But I got a pretty good, it seemed like she wants to close the CSD, but she wants it to be right. So that was kind of the message.
And they came to us to
Yeah,
do
that
the
doesn't matter
CSD.
anymore.
No, I know, but I'm still yelling about it, so it's like, whatever. You know, they came to us for the changes. We gave them the changes we needed. We said, don't change our current CSD, we like it. And they went forward and took things away, then added stuff that,
Yeah.
so.
Or things that were in there. I think the thing that is the most bizarre to me are things that were in there and they said, well, no, because it doesn't have to do with planning, it has to do with this other departments. We don't want it in the CSD. And it's like, well, but it was already in there. We're not asking you to add it. Like, why are you taking it out? You know, I think those
And
were
plus they passed it around to all these different agencies, and yet we can't get to those agencies to Public Works.
So, well, like I said, I don't want to be super negative. I'm really hopeful the supervisor is going to direct them to work with us. We'll get something done here in the next couple of weeks. And if not, we'll have another conversation and hopefully we can get it closer to where it needs to be.
And somehow we need to get the community more involved, my opinion.
It's hard to mobilize this.
I know, during the middle, I know, in the middle of the summer.
Well,
And
maybe,
it'll float.
maybe the library, maybe we can have in-person, like, workshops before, like we had that EIR one at High Desert. Before the pandemic, we had that, remember the high-speed rail people came out and we had that big workshop at High Desert? Like we need to do in-person stuff.
That's a good idea.
Advertise it at the parade, everyone in town.
That's why I said we'll do a float, CSD float. Hey, come out.
Oh, and the sheriff, our captain is gonna be at the parade on horseback. We talked to him too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh,
This is an active residence.
Yeah. No.
I told him pressure was on because, 2019 riding in the car, come on.
I did get a call from Garcia's office. He's supposed to be in the parade too.
Oh, wow.
I know Lackey's coming.
He usually always comes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But I did get a call from Garcia's representative, and she was wondering all about the water and how much they could bring, and about the water fights and.
Oh, the guy who's squirting people with a super soaker?
Garcia's office.
Carson water, or it's active water. One of them, I think it's active water, yeah.
It's a bit controversial.
Yeah.
Not everybody likes to do that.
Tammy, how are things coming for all the stuff, the activities in the park? I wanted to say, I know so many people are so excited about all the things.
Oh, we're like,
in the park,
over
so-
the top about, yeah, so we've
Yeah.
got, movies in the park are starting Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, and we're doing it every Wednesday, for the month, until school starts, until the
Yeah.
23rd, I think, of August. So we're doing that, and we're also bringing back concerts in the park. We're
So-
short a few bands right now, but we're scrambling. We're trying to get a few more bands in there. I think we have,
Tom, you play drums, right?
yeah. 4 of the 7 bands I believe we have right now. Movie night's completely settled
Yeah.
as far as what we're doing. And then we're trying to get a softball tournament together for like maybe Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
So, because we just got approval to do softball again.
Oh, cool.
So,
Well, very, very exciting. I know,
And line dancing too, I
oh, I'm sorry,
Right.
line dancing and yoga. Yoga will be, I believe, in August. She's coming back. She's gone for the summer pretty much, but she'll come back in August before school starts. She'll do yoga, yeah, yogurt. Yeah.
You-
I do.
I'm in.
I do yogurt. I'm in.
After.
Yeah, and then, yes, absolutely, line dancing, it'll be, every other Friday night, I believe, is line dancing.
very cool.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
very exciting. I think it's such a great thing for the
Bringing the community back
Oh,
together,
I
everybody
love it.
needs.
Well, and even 3rd of July, it's like, we didn't get approval to do anything at the park. They're not doing anything here after the 3rd of July parade. So I was unofficially trying to get a couple food trucks to show up at the park. 2 of them are local here in town.
Awesome.
They have all their permits, they have all their everything.
Talked to one by APM, she grew up out here, went to the schools out here, that's her family's truck, all permitted and very carne asada.
Yeah, it's Selena Figueroa, it's Joe Figueroa's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And he's helped out a couple times with tractors and stuff like that in town when we needed him for the park. But it's his daughter, it's Adelita's, I think is what the name is, the name of the truck. It's a kind of a orangish reddish truck,
Okay.
or orange. It's called Adelita's, it's really good. And I don't know about the one that's parked by the,
It's permitted too.
it's permitted too, okay, but I heard she's local. I don't
Yes.
know anything about her, but I heard
Me
she's
and Pam
local.
had to deal with that.
Huh?
That's the Taylor property.
Yep, we got it.
Yeah. you can-
Okay,
you
so
can work
care of
it,
that
yeah.
one.
well, I actually told Selena, who's local, I said, go park over there, it'd be a great day for that. And then I kind of sort of half solicited, if any bands are looking to play at around 11:30 at the park,
Yeah.
the
If you
pavilion's
just
wide
happen to be
open.
there,
Yeah, well, because it's a public park and
Yeah,
but we
okay.
couldn't get county approval-ish for all of it at the last minute. But it's a great gathering place.
yeah. No, I know everybody's just really excited about it. So I thank you for,
Yeah, they're setting up their spots like 2 weeks early.
I know.
Isn't that incredible?
I know, I saw
We were
that
talking about-
last weekend, I was afraid of what house they already had.
They're setting up straw bales with rope,
Yeah.
so they can put their 40-foot motor home.
Well, what's funny is Sandy Madston, she calls me and she says, it's right by our announcer's booth, where our announcer's booth is supposed to go. She goes, we can't lose that spot because they need the electricity from the school.
Right.
So I had some cones, so I went and put up, next to the straw bales, I had to put up a couple cones with some tape, just so that they could have, the announcer booth could have their spot.
Oh, I was taking pictures of those especially.
Were you? Yes. You have my phone number, right?
Yeah.
Plus
Yeah.
the whole space in front of the Presbyterian church is gone.
Well, they do that.
Well, that's the women's club. The women's club does that on purpose.
One little part is the women's club, I checked. They've got 2 signs there that says for their booth.
Yeah,
Well, they don't give you hot dogs and stuff there?
Yeah.
yeah.
Water, I know they're doing water this year for sure.
Were they gonna have arts and crafts up here or anything?
No.
Not this year?
Here's nothing this year.
Oh,
This is
okay.
just, they're gonna end about here somewhere and people will just disperse, so there's nothing going on at the community club this year.
I just walk around my corner from Durham and go to the corner and we just set chairs down that morning.
There'll be fun stuff going on at the park.
Yeah, we're hoping, I mean, we're trying to get, it's a community park. I mean, and none of us have been able to use it or go out or do anything and it's just, it's little pieces are starting, so it's super exciting.
It's very good. Yeah, our house is super excited about all the things. So my kids jumped for movie night. They missed it so much last year, so we'll be there.
I heard a bunch of kids saying,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
movie night.
Yeah, well, and we threw out on social media, like, throw us some movies.
Yeah.
What kind of movies do you want? And we got just messages and text messages and things like that. I mean, it was amazing.
Yep.
So we just went through and picked the most popular ones.
I think it's good selection.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
For bringing it
We're
back
excited about it.
and working so hard.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of work. Thank you. All right. Well, I think with that.
Motion to adjourn.